Genetic mutation is a fact of life. These coding corruptions pop up in the DNA and RNA of all organisms, from humans to insects and bacteria to viruses, and are typically nothing to be feared. When it comes to SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, scientists have been tracking its genetic evolution from day one. Thousands upon thousands of genomes have been sequenced to date, revealing all sorts of mutations that vary from the original virus that was first detected in Wuhan in 2019. Compared with other known viruses, SARS-CoV-2 is deemed to be relatively slow evolving, acquiring between 1 and 2 new mutations every month. Even so, this means there could be hundreds of variants that have developed a whole host of mutations since the pandemic began. But what do these mutations mean? Many of the genetic corruptions are just that, irrelevant miscoding that arises during replication within a human cell and serves no purpose or use for the virus, bringing it to an evolutionary dead end. But with SARS-CoV-2 so widespread throughout the global population, this increases its chances of stumbling across a mutation that is actually of some benefit to the virus. When this eventually happens, the mechanics of natural selection begin to whir, at which point this new, mutated variant is fast-tracked to the front of the queue and given the opportunity to infect hosts at a quicker rate, replicate in a shorter period of time, or evade an immune response. That's what we've seen with the 3 variants of concern that have been detected in Britain, South Africa and Brazil, all of which have obtained a series of mutations that have helped them to spread far and wide throughout the globe. The British variant, known as B117, harbours 23 mutations in total, 6 of which are silent and don't have any function but crop up and come along for the ride. Other mutations are significant and change the biology of SARS-CoV-2, altering the sequence and shape of certain proteins that make up the virus. One of these mutations, known as N501Y, sits in the so-called spike protein, the part of the virus that is responsible for binding to human cells. The mutation, according to the scientists, has increased the ability of the spike receptor to attach to certain proteins that cover our own cells, therefore making the virus more infectious. Further analysis now suggests the variant may also be up to 30% more deadly. But while research has shown that the COVID-19 vaccines produce an immune response which is still capable of neutralising B117, questions remain over whether this will be the case for the South African and Brazilian variants. Both share the N501Y mutation, along with a host of others, including E484K, which also affects the shape of the coronavirus spike protein, but in a way that makes it less recognisable to the immune system. For those people who've been infected with or vaccinated against the original variant of coronavirus, there's a chance that both the South African and Brazilian variants could evade certain antibodies generated by the body's immune response. That's according to one scientific study released last week. This suggests the effectiveness of the COVID vaccines may be slightly diminished, though there are many different parts to the immunity acquired via natural infection or vaccination that will still work to neutralise the emerging variants.
And that we should not be worried that we've suddenly lost the capacity to treat it. If there were a bigger drift, then the vaccine technology is quite capable of dealing with it. The vaccines currently in use will probably be fine-tuned to respond as this becomes the dominant variant over the next few months.
Drug makers have indicated that they're already preparing to redesign their COVID vaccines in response to the new variants. But the reality is that as the virus continues to spread, more mutations will inevitably emerge. Although rollouts have now begun in a number of countries, the threat posed by current and future variants reaffirms the need to adopt a strategy of total virus suppression rather than relying solely on vaccination. Clearly, there is still a long way to go in this fight.